to Salam Media. We're broadcasting live from the Varacha Stadium in Lenasia, the cricket stadium which was notoriously known during the apartheid era. However, we are here celebrating the launch of Ismail Wadi's book, Lions of Lenasia, under the banner of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. We speak to former member of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation board. Welcome, Sarina Mutala, and now currently employed at the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. I think it's been a very nostalgic morning for all of us, especially those that were involved in the movements and during the struggle. How did you feel about this experience this morning?
I think it's, as you said, very nostalgic, very emotional for a lot. But I think people haven't gathered here in a long time, all the activists. So yeah, I think it's just been an absolutely amazing moment. I think the mood is so good. Everyone's in awe of one another. People are getting together after a very long time after COVID. But I think this book, and I'm making an appeal to everybody, get it and read it. It has so many wonderful stories. And people live through these times. So an absolutely amazing atmosphere here. And thank you to Ismail Wadi and to everybody that told their stories and contributed to the success. And an amazing event on a lovely Sunday, crisp morning in Lenasia.
I think in your closing, you made an important statement about getting more, resources for the youth to be more proactive, to assist in that, because we always, criticizing, if you want, the youth of today, that they're not active enough or they don't have a purpose anymore. But I think for me that was very important today, because we actually saw that there is something very, very tangible happening through the Ahmed Kathrada Youth Foundation. And I think in your appeal, perhaps you want to add to that and appeal to our audience as well on why you feel that the resources are important.
Okay, I think on that, you'll almost hear lots of generational people talking about the youth that are lost. But I think somewhere along the line, we are lost. We got to find the youth. You got to encourage, you got to mentor, you got to assist. But most of all, give them the kind of support. Don't always shoot down their ideas. The struggle is extremely different now. But Najma, I really want to appeal to everybody. Buy the book, buy an extra book so we can share it with our youth. A lot of them are still students. They come from very poor backgrounds. But it's important for them to actually read it and to understand how we organize. But another special recommendation and appeal I want to make is to the youth of Lenasia. You live through your families, your uncles, your aunts, your parents. Some of you have grandparents that can tell you stories. So why don't you come out to the AKF and join and find out how you can have a life with purpose, be it in any kind of sector, sports, the arts, the culture, education. I think it's just so much you can do. So please do come out and join the AKF Youth.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Sarina. Next up, we have Comrade Firdaus Bulbulia. Welcome, Firdaus, to Salam Media this morning.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be part of Salam Media this morning.
Well, I think in your role today as one of the speakers, to highlight the importance of why this book was written. Unfortunately, I haven't read it yet, and I think you've had so much of insight into why it was written and the content itself and the motivation behind it. And I think when you spoke about your personal experience, and I think this is what this book has done to people like yourself who were so active in the struggle, that went through the punishments and the tortures and the indictments, etc., and came out strong. But to leave that memory behind and just talk about it as something that happened in the chapter of your life, I think is not enough. And I think today was an opportunity for people like yourself to relate to that. Am I right?
Yes, I think today was an important day as we reflect on the 1980 school boycotts, because that was kind of a precursor to the formation of the Lenasia Youth League, which started in 1982, so kind of 2 years after the 1980 boycotts. I was a student activist, detained in 1980, spent 10 days in solitary confinement at the John Forster police station. I talk about how I was detained and picked up on that cold winter's morning at 4 a.m. when the special branch knocked on the door of my family home in Fordsburg. But I think the reflection is important because I'm at the moment doing a PhD, and the theatre piece I talk about is memory is a weapon. And I think if we don't remember, if we don't reflect, if we don't write those stories, the next generation will forget. And we cannot allow that to happen because people died for our liberation. People were detained, people went into exile. And somehow we're forgetting that legacy, and we're all running after brands, and we're all wanting to be part of a generation of, TikTok and social media. And even though I work in that space, I'm a filmmaker, producer right now, I think that it is important to mediate the space so that the younger generation can understand the relevance of thought, of depth, of activism, very importantly. And the book itself talks about that. It talks about comrades who really gave up so much of their lives, of their work, to be part of an activism that would propel us to a new South Africa. I'm in awe of those people because some of them were in our midst, and as we heard, they were so disciplined that they were never caught out. So you never really knew what they were doing, and yet they were crossing borders, they were carrying arms, they were going into communities, and we all did that because we knew that was what we had to do. But the fact that these groups of women, and I think that's important because we don't know enough about the stories of the women and their participation and their role. And those are the people that we really need to reflect on.
Excellent. And I think that what was said at the end is that, we had the late Ahmed Timol and Dr. Dadu that we hold in high esteem, of course, for their martyrdom. But that was a generation that's gone. And this is the generation that we're talking about now. That's you and Ismail Wadi, but Vali Musa as well. And those people, the group of you that were involved in those, in the time of the struggle, that now needs to be not just remembered, but documented and appreciated. And then via this book, and a lot of I'm happy to hear and very impressed to hear that your PhD topic is on this. So there's a deep meaning to everything that's been done here, and I don't think many of the youth can actually relate.
Yes, I think that the documentation is important. I think that storytelling, because as a filmmaker, that's really what we do, is to produce documentaries about these events. My PhD is on the Fordsburg Women's Group, because that's where I come from. And I think we need to make the resource available so that these documentations are actually taken to schools, taken to community centers. And as you rightly say, it's this generation whose stories need to be told. They were not told. And they were not told because we were too busy, as Vali Musa said, you're in the activism of it. So you are so busy doing that you don't think about reflecting. And now is the opportunity to do exactly that, is to reflect, is to do what these people are doing, is telling their stories in the most impressive way. Okay.
Well, you can see the vibrancy here, and it's just all old comrades getting together. So I don't know if our viewers can hear me, but yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
This is really what we celebrate.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We are still live at the event, and just been very much a part of the vibrancy here, all the comrades getting together, and you can hear the noise. So I think it's important that we note that the people that are celebrating here, or the people that are reviving the atmosphere that we had, is we're hoping to instill in the youth, and that's perhaps the purpose of writing this book. And we find out from Ismail Wadi on that. Hi, how's